The next major type of story problem with quadratics is free-falling objects. So first you want your equation to this. So this is going to be h of t is equal to negative 16t squared plus s. So now let's go through what each of these things mean. So h of t is your landing height. So whatever you're landing on, if it's the ground, it's going to be 0. Or if you're landing on something else, it's whatever the height of it is tossed to. So let's say that you were going from one building to another, and this one started at 100 and ended at 60. This would be your end height. S is your starting height. So if we go back to this example, it'd be the 100-foot building. And then T is time. And then you want to solve by the square root property. So the quadratic formula could work for this, but it takes more time and effort to do. So just use your square root property for this. Okay, so let's look at some examples of this. An object is dropped from a height of 169 feet. So whatever it is, my height is 169 feet above the ground. How long will it take to land on the ground? So we're going from here down to here, which is 0. So our h of t is going to be 0. Then negative 16t squared. Okay, so the negative 16 is always going to stay. That's like our gravity that's behind it. Our t is what we're looking for. And then our starting point, which is 169. So there's your equation. So what you want to do is get the t squared by itself. In order to do that, you're going to take 169 to the other side. So negative 169 is equal to negative 16t squared. Divide out the negative 16s, which in this case, you know is going to give you a plus plus. And I know that these are both perfect square roots. So I'm going to take 169 over 16 and take the square roots of those, because that's how I would get t by itself. And that's going to give me plus or minus 13 over 4. But think of it in time. You're not going to have negative time. So 13 over 4, you want as a decimal, which is 3.25 seconds. So to drop from that building to the ground, it's going to take 3.25 seconds to do that. Okay. A coin is dropped from a 64-foot tall building. So my starting height is 64. How long will it take to reach the ground? The ground height of 0 is what we're going to. So we have 0 equals negative 16t squared, because we're looking for time, plus 64. So my first step is to move the 64 to the other side. My second step would be to divide by the negative 16. So that's going to give me a positive 64 over 16 equals t squared. So I know to get t squared by itself, I need to take the square root of both of these. So when I take the square root of both of those, it's going to give me plus or minus 8 over 4. Well, when you get plus or minus 8 over 4, you're either going to get 2 or negative 2. And obviously you can't have negative time, so you would have 2 seconds for that to drop. A person is jumping from a 42-foot building to a 6-foot tall car. So stunt. You're 42, and then your car is down here at 6. So you're jumping from one to the other. How long will it take? So remember that h of t is your landing height. My landing height is 6. The negative 16t squared stays. And then plus 42. So I just want to solve this for t. Subtract 42. And I'm going to get negative 36 equals negative 16t squared. Divide by negative 16. So that's going to give me a positive 36 over 16. I know that both of those have perfect square roots. So to get it equal to t, I'm taking the square root of both, which is going to be 6 over 4. And 6 over 4 reduces down to 1.5. And again, you can't have the negative of time, so you're just going with the positive of 1.5 seconds that this person will be in the air. A stunt double is jumping from one cliff to another. The initial cliff is 106, and are ending on one that's 25. So you're going from here to here. The producer is trying to determine how long he will be in the air. What will the time be? So 25 is our end. Then we have negative 16t squared plus 106. Okay, so solving this, subtract 106, which is going to give me negative 81 equals negative 16t squared. Divide by negative 16. So now I have that 81 over 16 is equal to t squared. In order to get that by itself, I want the square root of both, which is going to give me 9 over 4, plus or minus. But we know that with time, we only want the positive, so 9 divided by 4 is 2.25 seconds. So the producer needs to have 2.25 seconds of his film dedicated just to this jump. And that is free-falling objects.